Darkcast Network. Indie pods with a dark side.
You are listening to Castles and Cryptids, where the castles are haunted and the cryptids are cryptic as fuck. And I'm Alana.
And I'm Kelsey.
And, excuse me. Sorry. We are here for episode 182, I think.
Yeah.
We had to throw you guys a curveball last week when this is coming out.
Yep.
So, yes, we are sorry that we were a little behind, and we're really trying to get back on schedule.
Yeah. This was supposed to be our year.
It's just nice to have it, a week or two ahead, and that hasn't been happening lately. So there was no way we could record this tonight and then edit it before tomorrow.
We would basically be editing it and putting it to post. About 4 hours from this minute right now is when we normally post. So
right,
yeah, not
pull
gonna
back
happen.
the curtain. It's Thursday night. Anyway, or happy Friday if you're listening to this when it comes out.
Yeah, by the time this comes out, it'll be
it'll be officially spring for almost a week. Our next episode will be sort of springy themed. Maybe tune in and find out and all that. So that's okay. We just won't do a forensics February in March again. But
hey, we didn't have to do March Madness in April, so
that's true.
We're gonna stop naming Patreon episodes after months because we can't. Sometimes plans don't work.
Consider this our March Madness episode as we bring you people who have snapped crimes.
Yeah.
So
I got a lot of that Snapped TV show. I think I may have watched an episode or two in a hotel room at some point.
It sounds like
other than that, I was not a regular viewer. So
yeah.
Gordo, can you stop being so loud? Oh my god.
That's like when Fenrir comes and does that, but when he's gonna go lay by Pat's side of the bed, walks right up to Pat's side, then full on shakes his collar right near Pat's ears, and sometimes he's shaking awake. It's well, yeah, you're so loud, buddy. Can't you do that when you stand up when you're 3 feet over there?
Damn. Yeah, that would be brutal.
Nothing like being startled awake. Yeah.
Gordo would do that to me the first few times after I got him.
Yeah.
Or I guess it would be after I didn't have Bailey anymore. Because he was let out of the room because you have to kind of keep them separated and try and socialize them through the door a little bit and that kind of stuff for a while. So I think Bailey had left and then it was just Gordo and I here, and he would pounce on me in the middle of the night. So I would be just asleep and having the best night ever, and he would go from my headboard has ledge on it. He would stand on there and then he would jump straight on top of me, sometimes on my face, and he's 20 pounds. So 20 pounds of claw first into your face, and it's 3 a.m. boom. And then he would just run out of the room and down the hallway. Yeah. Land on your face, run down the hallway, and then I'd be oh my god, so I had to start locking him out of the room.
Dang.
Yeah.
You just wish he would be catatonic. But wait,
I
they're
do.
nocturnal, aren't they? Ugh, cats.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Okay.
don't think he gets up to too much at night. But
Who knows? He's probably having little disco parties.
it'd be funny. Yeah.
I had a kid's book when I was younger. It was like Wednesday is spaghetti day, and all the cats got together and had made spaghetti on Wednesday.
Really? That's so
Yes,
funny.
it was great. I
How?
liked
How
it.
did they make spaghetti?
They were very smart cats.
With
But they,
opposable thumbs and
yeah,
could
they
make
played with the
pasta.
yeah, they played with the food, and they had their baguettes and all the fixins. Probably wine.
Oh,
I don't know.
were they making the biscuits and just going like this, like,
Yeah.
making baguettes? That's funny.
Oh God. Oh yeah, one more thing. I know we gotta start, but you gave me after you gave me my birthday pin with the Mercury in retrograde.
Yeah.
It was so funny because I was listening to an episode of Keep It Weird podcast during because I mentioned a podcast, but like they it had come out on Friday, like i.e. the 14th, the day you gave it to me or whatever, and they're like, oh
Yeah.
yeah, and here's the witchy update, and this is happening, and we're Pisces season, and also today Mercury's back in retrograde, and I was like, no way. It literally was when you gave me the pin that says Mercury in retrograde. It was perfect.
Oh my God.
Chef's kiss.
That
And so
it's not super related to that, but on
no.
my drive home, I have to always drive past this sign that says there's a school near me that's like Our Lady of Peace.
Okay.
Like school, because it's like a religious school. And then I normally like don't really pay attention to it, but for some reason today, as I drove past it in my less than kilometer drive home, which is like 3 or 4 minutes, I was
Not
like,
to
oh.
brag.
No, because it's relevant. I was like, oh, Our Lady of Peace School. I was like, oh, that's kind of funny. And then there's that band, Our Lady of
Yes.
Peace, and I was like,
Our
I
Lady
wonder if
Peace, the Canadian
they
band.
started that religious connotation, or I was like, oh, I wonder where that comes from. Maybe I should look that up. And they were playing a song on the radio, and then it cut to the DJ, like,
Oh no.
radio DJ. They were talking about something, and they're like, oh, okay, back to the music. And they're like, their next song is Our Lady Peace, and their new song this. And I went, oh my God. Like,
their new song?
Yeah, they have a new song.
I didn't realize they were still making music. I was like, wait, don't they have the ones that sing Superman's Dead?
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that song.
I just thought it was crazy
so
because in the span of less than a 4, maybe maximum 5-minute drive, if I get stuck at the 2 sets of lights, I normally can listen to one song, maybe 2.
Oh,
so
yeah,
for
exactly.
me to be like, oh, Our Lady of Peace School, and I was like, oh, maybe I should look up, is Our Lady Peace like religious or like anti-religious, or like how did that name come about? And then they're like, and our next song is Our Lady Peace. I was like, oh, that's so weird. And I just started, yeah, I was like, wow, I literally am listening to the radio for 5 minutes.
Oh, totally. I'm always noticing those things. I think I told you, I don't know if it was on the pod, that I thought about you briefly on the drive to work. I don't know why, just something random. Oh no, Gordo. He's just got to be the center of attention. We're talking about just Kelsey.
Go. Jesus.
And then after I thought about you on my drive, then I saw one of those multiple car carrying vehicles, and it had 2 of the vehicle you drive on it. Yeah, I was like, that's the same color. That's her, blue. I'm like, what the fuck? So weird.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't know what it means. Probably that I should
I
have
don't
texted you
know.
as soon as I got to work, because maybe we were supposed to be talking about something. It's like yeah, I read that book that was like, if you run into someone, you were just thinking about them, like maybe you're meant to talk to them because they got something to tell you or whatever. So it's just like, you gotta be so open. But yeah, it's so weird when that happens. You're like, wait, what?
I thought it was wild. I was like, what are the chances? Like,
I know. I didn't even know they
the
made music
band
anymore.
specifically get. Yeah, they've
Like,
had a few new songs that are getting played on the radio. They have a new album.
yeah.
I don't think I've listened to much of it, but
Yeah, I think I was Googling them when somebody, the Canadian podcaster, mentioned like Chantal Kreviatsik or something, and the other people were like, "Who?" And I'm like, "Wait, what?" And I was like, "Isn't she married to the Our Lady Peace guy or something?" Anyway,
yeah, is it like Rain Maida? Is that his name or something?
I think his name is Rain something. Yeah,
Yeah.
I sometimes get him confused with Trent Reznor. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, like
um,
synchronicities, is that what that's called? It's
oh,
like
totally. Yeah. Yeah, because sometimes they're just too weird, and you're like, coincidence? I think not.
yeah, it was like,
Yeah.
oh, the first time I noticed the sign and then start thinking about the origins of the band name
Yeah.
Our Lady Peace, and then they start playing on the radio. I'm like, what happened? Did I
What does it all
manifest this?
mean?
I was like, what is going on? And I like pull into my driveway and the song's ending. I was like, that was bizarre. Like,
Should we buy concert tickets? Yeah, I don't know.
yeah, should I buy a lottery ticket? Does that mean I'm win the lottery? Yeah, I thought it was interesting. I was like, oh, that's really weird.
If we go viral, I'll feel like I've won the lottery.
Yeah, that'd be
All right, what have you
nice.
got for us today? I must know.
I have. Oh, how did I? This came up on one of the listicles somewhere.
Ooh,
Uh,
you looked up listicles. I don't think I looked up any. I just came to mind. So I'm
oh no, I
curious.
had a really hard time finding a case actually. I bounced around between a couple I thought about covering, and
I
then
swear this was your topic idea.
I
That's
know, I
funny.
don't know why it was so hard. It literally took me 4 tries of hours of Googling each time to
Yeah.
try and find cases that I
Yeah,
don't
because
know,
sometimes
a lot
it's
of
vague. Like,
yeah, or you're reading it and you're like, well, that's not really uh
yeah. Like the recent wine and crime I listened to today was he had it common crimes, and I was like, yeah, what do you Google when you're just looking for something like that? Who knows?
yeah, this one I'd say he has it coming. I mean, I don't know
Ooh.
if he necessarily had to this extent, but he had something coming cuz
Oh gosh.
he's scum. He's a scumbag, but
He had another thing coming. Okay.
yeah. So this is the story of Maria Barbella. I like the name Barbella.
Yeah, that's cool. Sounds like
Yeah.
a cool wrestler. I don't know.
She was an Italian immigrant, and this is a long time ago, by the way. Her
Mm.
family had made their way to the US from Italy back in 1892. Let's see.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we're going back in time.
Jeez, okay. I'm there.
Yeah, so they moved from Italy to the US in 1892, and they settle with her parents, and she has some siblings in the Little Italy neighborhood in New York City.
Oh, I like it when they have little neighborhoods like that. Like there's neighborhoods like
Yeah.
that in our city. There's a little Italy and like a Chinatown, I think. I used to live near the
Yeah.
Little Italy one, so that one I do know for sure. But
Yeah.
that's
It's
cute.
fun. So Maria worked, it said 60-hour weeks
Oh
as
boy.
a seamstress, and she would walk home from her job and past this little shoe shine stand that was owned by Domenico Cataldo, I want to say.
Toretto.
Cataldo.
Oh, nope. Not that
Dominic Toretto.
one. Not that Dom.
We're family. No, it's Domenico Cataldo, I want to say.
Huh, okay.
It could be Cataldo, but
I feel like Cataldo sounds more Italian.
Cataldo. Yeah.
Yeah.
At the time, Barbarella, or Maria, was 24, and Cataldo was 29, and they began talking kind of as she would walk her way past, headed home, and probably on her way to work. They might talk as well. And he was also an immigrant that had come over from Italy.
Aww.
So, because it wasn't really like said too often, so I didn't realize the first time I was reading the case that Maria didn't speak really English at all.
Okay.
So I think having also like finding another person from Italy probably made her more comfortable and was somebody to talk to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because she wouldn't have been speaking much English at this point. And he, I guess, at some point decided to start walking her home. And they would talk. He told her about his dreams of opening a barber shop and eventually getting married. And she loved that, I guess, and was like, "Marry me."
Great. He's laying on the charm.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
Passing all the charisma checks and all that. Yeah.
One red flag I would say is that he would walk her most of the way to her house, but always made sure not to walk her all the way in order to avoid meeting her family.
Okay.
So,
that seems less like you care about her safety then.
Yeah, then like I'll just walk from like 2 blocks away. I'll just watch.
Oh, really? Not to your door.
No.
Okay.
So Maria's family, they didn't like Domenico. It took them a while to finally be able to meet him. They had asked to meet him multiple times, and he always made excuses to avoid them. And Maria tried to keep it a secret that they were walking together, and that they were still seeing each other all the time, but her parents found out and again kept asking to meet him.
Yeah. And okay, that's fair.
Yeah. Eventually, they must have met at some point, because it said after the Barbella family met Cataldo, her father told her that she was not allowed to see him again. So,
okay.
Dad really didn't like him. Bad vibes.
All right. He's like, after one meeting, he's done.
Yeah, so I don't know what exactly happened during that. And Maria did end up listening to her dad. She began even walking a different way home in order to avoid that shoe shine stand that he worked at.
Wow.
But it said that he was really persistent and he would not leave her alone and would like track her down, find out where she was, find out which way she was walking, I guess. And
yeah, we used to call that aggressively
her.
Romantic. Now we are a little less complimentary of this kind of
Don't
behavior.
take no for an answer.
I know, I totally grew up with the stuff.
You had to ask her out 37 times before she finally said yes. Well, cool. I guess it's great that your parents have been married for 40 some years, but your dad had to ask her out 30 times.
It is hard not to put yourself in those one's shoes. Yeah. But then it's like just the romance movies that I feel like I grew up with, where it was just like,
absolutely.
Oh, well, you don't like me? Well, I find that hot. And you're just like, okay. And then you're like, well, that is kind of hot. Like, it's kind of the I don't know. Sometimes it's the will they, won't they, but like, yeah, they definitely very much push the like enemies to lovers kind of
Yeah.
trope. I don't know. it's
Yeah.
it's interesting.
Yeah, so despite the request of her family, Maria eventually began seeing Domenico again. And
Hmm.
despite him pursuing Maria, he acted abusive towards her, and it said he was also very unkind. And not good. Trigger warning for this. At some point during their time together, it said that he gave Maria a drink that had drugs in it, or it was drugged,
Oh.
and he ended up sexually assaulting her while she was unconscious.
Oh wow. Date
So,
rape, drug
yeah.
for date rape.
Yeah.
I mean, just to call it what
Uh,
it is, I guess. Sorry. Yeah. Yeah, that sucks. Wow.
yeah. So I guess this was like um yeah, like her virginity and everything, so that was really
Oh
hard
shit.
at the time cuz like this is the 1920s. Um I think it
Wow.
is. Hold on, I'm trying to find a date other than 1892. It's like, oh no,
Oh
do I have a
yeah.
single other year in here? Hold on.
Ugh. It was the raping 20s? Is that what you're telling me? Oh no. Oh
Oh,
dear.
they settled in 1892. So I don't know exactly when this happened, but yeah, which
Okay.
is yeah,
That
really
sucks.
bad.
Yeah.
Uh yeah. When Maria finally came to, she was horrified, embarrassed, and even afraid to go home and tell her parents what had happened.
Hmm.
So instead, she confronted. Oh, just told me I lost connection, and it's back.
Oh, it
I'm
didn't do
good.
anything
Is
here.
it still?
Yeah.
Okay, scary.
I know. I think
Yeah.
we're
So
good.
instead, she confronted Catal Catalado. I don't know.
Yeah.
Cataldo, who promised to marry her as soon as he found them a place to live together.
Hmm.
So that dragged
Okay.
out a little bit as he kept saying, "Oh yeah, we'll get married. I'll find a place for us to live." Well, he eventually did one of those things. He did find them a place to live and they moved in together, but as time went on, he was making no signs to follow through on the promise of them getting married.
Ugh. Tale
And
as old as time. God.
Maria kept begging him to keep his promise, trying to
Mm.
salvage her honor and reputation. Uh, yeah,
Wow.
because he had freaking assaulted her, and it's pre 1900s, so
Oh yeah, so now she's
he was.
soiled goods. Of course.
Yeah, she's damaged, and no man will
Yes.
ever find any of use of her. Like, fuck.
Wow.
Yeah. So, Maria found out during this time that Domenico was seeing other women, and he
Great.
then, yeah, he changed his story at that point about what his plans were for their future. He told her that he couldn't marry her anymore and that he would actually find another man that she could marry. Like,
Okay.
yeah.
Is this feudal times? Like, well, the king will
So,
make sure you marry again. I don't
yeah,
want to.
so
Fuck.
weird. It said, according to Maria, he said, quote, "I'll find you a young man willing to marry you. I'll tell him you're a
Okay.
widow. I'll buy you a black dress and you'll marry him because I want you to. Then I'll come back to visit you while he's at work." Gross.
No, thank you. Oh.
It'd be like, thanks for the idea. I'll just pretend I'm a widow by myself and you don't need to be involved in that. Like, I'll
Like, what
pretend
the
to be a
hell?
widow all by myself. Like, that's
Seriously.
the only way you can salvage your honor in this situation is to pretend you have a dead husband. Go for it. Like,
It was rough. It'd be rough out there.
Right? Wild.
Mm.
That's not the worst thing. So Maria discovered even more secrets that Domenico was keeping from her. Mostly that he already had a wife and children back in Italy. Oh.
Okay. Wait, where are they now?
They're in
Sorry.
New York.
Oh, yeah.
Where he
Fuck.
Yeah.
Little Italy. Oh.
Yeah. So he
Napoli.
had
What the fuck?
Yeah,
Oh
he
my
was
god.
already married. He already had kids back in Italy. So he was presumably just in the US trying to make money.
Ooh.
I don't know exactly when this happened, but he also told her that he had purchased a one-way ticket to move back to Italy to be with them, and he was going to be leaving. So he's like, we can't get married anymore. I'm not going to be here. I'll be back in Italy.
Oh my god, I knew it when you said he wouldn't marry her right away. I was just like, Tail is fucking old as time because he won't leave her. And I didn't even know there was a her yet.
Yeah, they didn't even know. Yeah.
Just had that vibe. I'm like, oh god. This feels like drama on the latest season of Love is Blind. No.
Yeah.
I haven't been watching that lately. I'm fine. No.
Obviously, like hearing this news, Maria became enraged,
Oh
and
no.
she once again was begging Domenico to marry her. And their argument at this point, I guess,
Really?
it was happening at her house. It was becoming so loud that Maria's mother came to the door, and Domenico ended up like
Shit.
storming out of the house. So
Okay. Yeah.
I also saw on a couple sources that the mom interrupting had
Pardon me.
like in response to that, Domenico said, okay, I'll marry her if you guys pay me. It was like something like $200 or something. Then I'll marry your
Bitch?
daughter.
What?
Yeah, and then when they declined that or whatever, he stormed out. So I'm not too sure, but
Okay, bro. What the hell?
right?
Yeah, no. You can't.
I'm like, this is
This
a
isn't
terrible story.
this
I'm
isn't
sorry.
Sister Wives. What does he think he's
Yeah, right?
and then he's
Yeah.
like, no, I'll marry you. Whatever. Yeah, okay.
I mean,
Sure.
it's 1892 or something around that time, so they probably couldn't figure out he had a wife in Italy. But
Well, that's just it.
if he
Easier to
didn't tell
be
them,
a
con
yes,
man,
it's a bigamist,
deceiver,
I
yeah,
guess. Yeah, because definitely the communication was not instant between place to place.
right?
None of that. Damn.
So what happens next? There's also multiple versions of. So one of the versions is either right after storming out or kind of the next day or something around that time. Domenico goes to a local bar where Maria tracks him down. And she finds him at the card table playing cards with some friends. And she goes up to him and confronts him again. In public, she demands that he
No.
marries her. And he replies one of two things: either only pigs marry,
Oh
or that
God.
only a pig will marry you. Not exactly sure. Most of the things I read said only pigs marry, which
We need
doesn't
the
make
real
sense.
we need the reality TV tapes. Run the tapes. That's what
Yeah,
they say
right?
on Real Housewives, I guess. What the fuck?
Uh,
That's so disrespectful.
yeah, only pigs marry, but you're already married. Like, that's what I don't get. You're already
Yeah, it must
married.
have been
You're
just something to that effect, especially derogatory towards her. Like
yeah.
I could see the only pigs would marry you or something to that effect.
Yeah, that's the first thing I read in my first couple sources that said only a pig will marry you, and then the rest of my sources said only pigs marry. So,
Who
not too
knows?
sure, but
Yeah, maybe he's
Something
like,
about
only if I
pigs
was a
getting in.
pig, or yeah, and everyone just
Yeah.
misremembered the exact wording or whatever. Yeah.
What happens next is, hearing this, Maria pulls out a straight razor and fucking cuts his throat in the middle of the bar.
Oh, let me just give you a little shave and a haircut.
Yeah. It's like, I was reading the case and I was like, oh damn. It's like I was
Sorry, yeah,
not
that's
expecting her
crazy.
to do that in a public bar in front of like 30 people.
That's the saying, hell hath no fury. My
Yeah.
God. Ugh.
So that's kind of the first version that happens. Other versions say that Maria grabbed his head and like pulled his neck back to expose his throat and like deliberately slit his throat from ear
Much
to
like he
ear
might do
like
a
a
pig.
yeah, my literally the sentence
Oh,
ends like a
sorry.
slaughtered pig.
I couldn't help myself.
Ah,
Damn, that's horrific though, honestly. Horrifyingly traumatic
right? Can you
for
imagine this
everyone
woman just
there.
comes up to your friend, you're playing cards in a bar, and just like they get in an argument, she just pulls out a razor and cuts his throat, and it's like, okay, now what?
I know, it sounds like a movie.
And it's 1892, and TV doesn't exist.
Yeah. And we thought, and the
Uh,
Wild
you're
West
not
was more
desensitized yet?
tame. Yeah, but this was crazy.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Um, Apparently, other versions say that the injury was an accident or an act of self defense and not meant to be fatal at all. I do have it later
Okay.
on. Apparently, they said that Domenico had pulled out a knife before Maria slit his throat with a razor she happened to be carrying with her for some reason. But
Her friend said that. Yeah, I don't
yeah,
know.
I don't know.
Sorry.
Yeah. So Maria had slit his throat in plain sight in front of a bar full of witnesses.
It's
And
because Earl had to die. Anyway.
yeah,
Oh my
they
God.
watched as Domenico stumbled out of the bar. I guess he was able to like get up
Oh
and
wow.
like stumble out of the bar, where he collapsed in the street and died.
Shit,
Not laughing,
dramatic.
but yeah, like uh apparently Maria went straight home. She tried to change her clothes, but she was like, I mean, she did it in front of a bunch of witnesses, so she was found and
Right.
arrested right away for his murder.
Yeah, I wonder if everyone was just standing there kind of like dumbfounded as to
I'd
what
be
to
pretty
do.
shocked. I mean,
Yeah. There's a lot of horrified bystanders in my case that also probably
oh,
did not know what to do. Yeah.
yeah, you always think you would know what to do if something was happening, but
Yeah,
yeah,
there's a
it's
brave few who actually try something. Yeah.
yeah. And this one, nobody attempted to save his life, so
Yeah, by the sounds of it, they didn't hardly care. Oh.
yeah, I'm not too sure like what his friends thought or anything. I don't really have any background about that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
But
sometimes that's hard to find.
after Maria Barbella was arrested and taken into custody, she was booked under the wrong name. She was booked under Maria Barberi.
Barbarian.
And Barberi. Not Burberry. Barbary. Uh,
Barbarian was a good
Barbary.
movie. Anyway.
She was held for months, obviously waiting for her trial, which took place from July 11th to July 15th in 1895.
Wow.
So still a long time. Yeah, I was just like, wow, this is a quite old case.
Oh, okay, so we
Uh,
still haven't cracked the 1900s, which we weren't sure of earlier, I
no,
think.
sorry, I like I think I thought that she was born in 1892, but no, that's when they
Right.
moved, and she was already
Right.
basically 24 at that time. So I made that
Gotcha.
more confusing. So at her trial, the judge that she had appointed two inexperienced lawyers to defend Maria, and these lawyers only met with her once, I guess, and it said that they didn't prepare at all for her upcoming trial. So that sucks. That's not what
Nice.
lawyers are supposed to do.
No.
They should be the most prepared. Like,
Yeah, a little bit.
I do have some information from encyclopedia.com. They had like some.
Ooh.
I got information from Encyclopedia and Ranker. I was like, oh, I like this.
Random.
Yeah, I thought it was really weird. So from Encyclopedia, it said prosecutors accused Maria of murdering Cataldo, Domenico. I'm just gonna keep him calling him Domenico. For ruining her reputation, and to gain access to the $825 in his bank account. Like that had to be her motive, right? Because after murder, you totally get access to somebody's bank account. Like it's a video game, all their money just explodes into the air and you can just collect it.
Wait, that wasn't wife then? No.
Huh?
I said that wasn't a wife that would collect the money. You said
I don't know. It just said that the prosecutors accused Maria of murdering him for ruining her reputation and to gain access to his bank account, which made no sense to me.
Right, because if she's not if that's not her husband or something, why would she get the bank account?
Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me.
I'm so tired. My brain.
This theory assumed that it was a premeditated plan, so Maria was charged with a capital offense of first-degree murder. And when her trial began on July 11th, the defense presented a different view of Maria's behavior. They accused Domenico of being a cad with a disrespectful or distasteful record of seducing young women. And
you know what? CAD is our short form for Canadian dollars.
No, it's not. It is not.
Yeah. It's a trap. Anyway.
It's not CAN? Isn't that short for Canadian dollars?
Maybe. I don't know.
Because USD is American. I thought it was CAN for CAN. Canada! Yeah.
We have a lot of different weird, codes and stuff in the travel department. Maybe I'm misremembering, but my brain might be done for the week. I'm so sorry.
When Maria pleaded with him to marry her, his reply was derisive. Yeah. Derisive laughter, and the retort, "Only pigs marry." And driven into a rage by his words, she had killed him. And since the rage provoked a spontaneous act, there was no premeditation. That's what the defense is saying. And the defense asked that their client be charged with second-degree murder, which was not a capital defense. But the judge, John Goff, denied the motion. So she's still being charged with first-degree murder. Which is... She could be charged with or sentenced to death. Dun, dun, dun. Yeah, not good.
No, they did like to hang people back in the day.
Yeah. When at trial, she was badgered, it said, by the prosecution while she was trying to take the stand. And while attempting to tell her side of the story, her words were poorly translated by the court-appointed translator that repeated what she was saying in a monotone and dull voice. And They said it just wasn't like beneficial to her. It seemed like she was very detached and emotionless, but that's not how she was communicating her own words. It's just how the translator was translating them. So yeah, it was really unfortunate.
Literally lost in translation.
Yeah, all of the emotion and everything like that, it was just gone. It was just being repeated.
Yeah,
And
yeah, like when you get subtitles that apparently don't say the same things, but then sometimes you can at least see the like body language and maybe kind of get that context. Yeah.
Yeah. The judge went on to exclude evidence as well that was in favor of Maria, such as what I mentioned, that Domenico had reached for a knife, and the judge had also discouraged the jury from showing her any mercy. I think I saw stuff saying that he had kind of been like, oh, you can't, like, don't let the fact that she's a woman dissuade you, that she said she was may have been abused by him. Don't take that into account. Like,
the judge did?
Yeah, the judge had multiple quotes. He had a whole paragraph long thing that I cut out that was like brutal.
Sir.
It was like, yeah, this is a person. You don't view them like basically with gender. Don't take that into account. Like, yeah, it was wild.
Wait, what? Okay.
Yeah, and I guess she had
Bizarre.
no women on her jury, and then there was
okay, of course not.
Yeah, I think I read that in one of the sources. Yeah, her jury was also not good, so
Yeah, that whole getting a jury of your peers is...
yeah, it wasn't happening.
Yeah. A lot of times it really doesn't, I guess. It's like, oh my god.
More from encyclopedia.com said that the prosecution relentlessly asked Maria why she had stayed with a man possessing such reprehensible morals.
Oh, fuck off.
She replied that she loved him, and Maria continued to insist that she wanted to marry him, not murder him, and that she actually had no memory of the attack itself. And
what? Oh no.
yeah, that she's
lying.
She has a reason for it that I don't know if we'll ever know is true or not, but Gordo, fuck off.
Get out, Gordo.
Yeah. Also smells like you pooped and there's stuff on your foot. You a smelly butt. You have a stinky bum. You're so fluffy.
Particles.
Yeah. Okay, so Maria's mother testified that she too had begged Domenico to marry the girl, marry Maria and restore her honor. This is where I had it. Domenico said Miss Barbella had laughed and demanded $200 before he would do such a thing. That's where I had it. I was like, I knew I had it somewhere. So she said that at the trial.
Say it. I'm sorry. Say it again.
The mom, Maria's mom, is saying at the trial that they had gotten in an argument and that Maria had begged like him to marry her, and that he had demanded $200 to marry her.
Right.
Yeah.
Sorry. That's so fucked up. I demand a dowry. Or what? Like, no.
I don't think he would ever have gone through with it, but he already had a plane ticket booked, so you know what? He would have taken that $200 and just flown home back to Italy.
Is there planes now? Okay.
Yeah, it said he had a plane ticket.
Shit. Okay.
Yeah. On July 18th, after only 45 minutes of deliberation, Maria Barbella was found guilty of first-degree murder and was sentenced to death by electrocution.
Oh.
Because the electric chair was a brand new invention, and it was so much more humane than hanging people. No!
They're both only humane if done correctly.
Yeah, which I feel like is very, very impossible.
Much like most methods of execution. I can't talk.
Yeah.
Like, that's fucked.
A lot of
Like,
stuff
you've seen the Green Mile?
Oh,
That's fucked up.
yeah.
When that guy doesn't get
Yeah.
the sponge wet and so he gets all fucking fried. It's horrible. That
But
fucked
yeah,
me
I
up when
have
I first
a
read that book.
Oh yeah, I have a story from Rancor about
Oh
that.
God.
So a bunch of stuff when you're looking up this story credits Maria as being the first woman in the United States condemned to die in the electric chair. But one of the sources actually named the woman that was the first. So I Googled her separately, and it was like 5 years before this. So I think that's more accurate, is that she's the second woman in the United States that was condemned to die in the electric chair. That was a new invention at the time.
Sure.
Maria was taken to the famous Sing Sing prison in upstate New York.
I have heard of it.
Yeah. Apparently she became a notable figure and received preferential treatment. Most stuff kind of like ended it at that, but only one source kind of mentioned that may have been because she might have been the first and only female inmate. Like, so
that to make
yeah,
her
so
her
that's
own
maybe
ward. No.
yeah, like maybe that's why she was so noticeable and like received preferential treatment. It's because she was the only woman, but I'm not sure on that one.
Yeah.
But it did
She got
say
a
that
private
her
bathroom.
cell.
Well, she can't go pee with the
Maybe.
rest of you. Yeah. No, I don't know.
Yeah. It did say that her cell was actually bigger than her apartment that she had in the city.
Oh wow.
Which
doesn't
I
say
mean,
much
I
for
don't know
New
if
York
that's
living.
right? I was like, is this a good thing or is this a dunk on New York City living?
Oh, we all know Friends is not an accurate representation.
No, but I was just like, damn, you gotta go to prison to get a bigger apartment in New York City.
Yeah.
Savage.
Oh God, I heard it's getting rough here too in our city. That's it's big city living for you.
That's why they're putting up all those skinny homes. You can put 2 on a lot instead of 1. They're putting so many of those in my neighborhood, like demolishing all the old rundown homes and like putting 2 in its place. Yeah.
Oh wow.
They kind of look like, I don't know, like detached condos. Like it's basically like 3 floors, but everything is like very skinny. It's like if you, I don't know, stacked like maybe a trailer. Like it's kind of only the width of maybe a bit bigger than a trailer, but it's like 3 floors. You know, your main one's got like your living room and kitchen, and then there's an upstairs and then another floor. Like I don't know if they have basements, but
there was that children's book that was some sort of very tall school. It was like Wayward Stories
Sideways Stories from Wayside School.
Sideways Stories, yes. I'm like Wayward.
It was because it was supposed to be built 31 rooms across, but instead it was built one. Right. It was supposed to be built, instead it was built 31 single classrooms on top of each other.
Vertically, yeah.
Yeah.
So stupid.
And I loved that book. There was a girl that couldn't count properly. She would just list random numbers, but then if she was like counting to 10, she'd be like 1, 183, 17, 49. But then she would get to 10 at the end and she'd be like, but I got the answer right. And they're like, but you did all the steps wrong. And she's like, but I got the answer right. Like,
yeah, I remember it was wacky. I was like, what? This book is weird.
Yeah. There was also a boy that could only do math or could only read sitting on his head. like
Oh my
basically
god.
upside down. He could only read upside down. It was
You
fun.
remember
They
these
actually
specific kids.
I do. I owned the book. I was obsessed with it, and they for a short while made it into a TV show, which I loved as well.
Oh, that's
So everything
funny.
was like, yeah, made into a kids cartoon.
Not when
It
I
was
was a kid, I'm
entertaining.
sure there wasn't a show. That's funny.
No.
Oh.
Yeah. Anyway,
Sorry,
yeah,
that was our
apparently
sideways diversion.
yeah, so apparently her cell is bigger than her apartment that she was living in with
Right.
Domenico. And I guess while she was in prison, the warden's wife took an interest in her and actually began helping her learn and like teaching her English so that she would better be able
Right.
to like communicate and everything, which I thought was nice.
That's good.
She apparently became a bit of a celebrity. Oh, excuse me, sorry. Became a bit of a celebrity. I should have tried to look up a picture, but apparently dolls were even made in her image in New York and
my.
sold, maybe? I don't know. That I thought was so weird. Because I could barely find pictures of Maria to begin with. So I'm like, I don't know if I can find a picture of this doll that's supposed to look like her.
Yeah.
Stop it.
That's fair. American Girl dolls.
Yeah,
Yeah.
prison inmate.
Prison inmate Patty. Yeah.
Okay, Gordo.
Gordo. She's close to being done, buddy.
I am. Just stop. Yes.
Wow.
These have literally been on the wall for 4 years. They aren't new. Why do you gotta play with them every time?
Oh,
Nope,
I
just
love
go.
it. That sounds like when Fenrir sounds like he's talking back when we like let him inside. Like, stop your barking, and he's like, "Arr!" And we're like, shut up. You're just being a dick.
Her case captured the attention of women's advocates, notably Elizabeth Cady Stanton. I don't know who that is. And calls for a second trial were gaining in popularity on the grounds that Maria had not been treated fairly, that evidence had been suppressed, and that executing a woman by electric chair would be immoral.
Excluding her from life, essentially.
Yeah, I was like, why did I say excluding? Executing.
Nice. Oh
Gordo!
my gosh.
You motherfucker! Okay, we're leaving. Get out. Get out. Go. So annoying.
Oh wait, you're all wireless though. You didn't have to throw down your earbuds and
No.
distaste. I barely even noticed. Oh my god. What was he doing?
Yes. He was trying to like climb on the shelves there, starting at the bottom.
Okay.
He was like scratching at whatever's on the bottom shelf there.
Oh. Yeah.
So this is where I had from Ranker. They had a nice little description that the use of the electric chair had only been carried out on men, and it was considered to be more humane than hanging. But when William Kemmler was executed in 1890 in Buffalo, New York, he was shocked for 11 seconds and had smoke coming out of his head. But after examination, he was actually still alive.
Oh my god. This is what I'm talking about. It's that horrific scene in the Green Mile. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Awful.
It took a second shock to kill him.
Okay, but also that can happen in hanging too. I just want to point out. If you don't correctly snap their neck the first time, they're gonna strangle very slowly.
I think the thing I don't have it here, so it wasn't from Ranker, but it was one of the other sources I read that talked about the same time. They said that the second shock that they administered to him was like over a minute long. Like, which is
Okay.
awful. Like,
He's a real
that's so
taser
bad.
face now. Yeah. That's
Yeah.
rough.
Yeah. So that's a little thing. I mean, we could get into the history of the electric chairs. I'm sure that's plenty fucked up. But
Ooh, execution, right there. Yeah, that's a
yeah. Oh no.
episode. Even just like death rituals and stuff can be so fascinating throughout time and culture, you know? Ugh, crazy.
Yeah.
Pardon me.
Um so back, I guess word back got back about Maria's case all the way back to Italy, where Cora Slocum, an American who had gotten married to an Italian count, ended up making the trip to the US to visit Maria while she was incarcerated. And it must have been a nice meeting, and they probably got along because Cora Slocum ended up hiring Maria some better attorneys than what was appointed in her first trial. And they also started a petition and were working to get or help Maria appeal her case and her conviction. So,
Okay.
yeah. Um, Maria was eventually granted a second trial, which took place from November 17th to December 10th in 1896. And the Court of Appeals granted her this second trial because of the questions regarding her original appointed legal counsel. How I said they were both inexperienced, and then they hadn't really prepared for it, had only met with her once for such, like, she's on, like, considering a death penalty and you only met with her once. Like,
Yeah, I don't know how it was back in the day, but that doesn't seem great.
yeah, and there's two of them. They also took into question the impartiality of the judge, saying, um, just with the comments that they had made that basically seemed crazy. I should have kept it in, but it was like so rambly, like multiple paragraphs
uh,
long, and I was like, I don't even want to read this. Like, this person just sucks.
they're just filibustering, yeah, on the stand. Blah
Yeah.
blah 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 blah.
At her new trial, her new lawyers claimed that she had sliced Domenico's throat during an epileptic attack and that she
Okay.
hadn't intended to kill him. Yeah, I thought that was a little weird. I was like, "Oh, uh
She had too many Twinkies that day. It's the Twinkie defense. Oh,
I was like, "Oh, where did that come from?" But yeah.
bizarre.
Um
Out of their
I guess
asses.
they may have. I don't really know, and I think it'd be interesting. I don't think we'll ever find out for sure or not if this is true, but Ranker had the best information about it, saying that Maria's defense really played up the idea of mental illness and alcoholism that ran in her family. And when
Okay.
Maria testified, the fact that she had learned English by this time had made it much easier for the jury to hear from the defendant herself that she, in fact, didn't remember killing Domenico due to memory loss associated with an epileptic attack. And she told them,
Okay.
quotes, sometimes I feel a machine in my head, and the pain is so great I cannot stand it. Uh, So they also said there might have been a history of like epileptic attacks. There was a history of alcoholism. There was history of other mental illness. There was histories of like suicides in her family. Uh,
Okay,
so
but
there was a
before that,
lot going on.
nothing that we know about, like,
I
with
don't know.
her.
Nothing that they talk about
Just
that I
seemed
guess.
very out of the blue. I don't
Yeah.
know.
I mean, she says in her quote that sometimes I feel like a machine. I feel a machine in my head, and the pain is so great I cannot stand it. So, but
Yeah.
yeah, nothing about like the frequency or when they started or what might have been causing it.
Right. Like, I
Um,
drink so much that when I don't, all of a sudden I have these weird seizures. Like, what?
yeah.
Okay. It's
The
weird.
jury in Maria's second trial found her not guilty after deliberating for
Hmm.
40 minutes. So in her first
Wow.
trial, they found her guilty after 45 minutes. Now they find her not guilty after 40 minutes. Uh,
I mean, really, with
so
the testimony from people from the bar or whatever it was, that's crazy. Huh.
I don't know. It didn't
Yeah.
talk about that. I don't know who.
Yeah. I imagine the trials were a little different too.
Yeah. She did end up obviously getting released from prison. We don't know much more about her other than that less than a year after being released, she married Francisco Paolo Bruno, a man from the same village I guess she had grown up in Italy.
Okay.
And
Good for her.
afterwards, she just like after that marriage, that's the last thing we know about her. She just disappeared from public life, and we have no other updates or information.
I'll assume
So
that means she
she's
like
a
had a
hundred
happily ever
and
after.
40 years old. No, uh,
Or that.
yeah,
Yeah. She lives on forever. Wow.
yeah. It's like
Okay.
interesting. Yeah,
Yeah.
second woman, I guess, condemned to the electric chair, sliced a man's throat open in a pub in front of a bunch of people.
And
Like,
then got off. Like,
yeah,
wait,
got away
what?
with it. I was like, oh damn. Yeah,
Crazy. I can't even remember what she
yeah.
was mad at him about now. I'm just like, wait, what?
Uh, he refused to marry her, and then he had drugged and raped her. So I mean,
Well, oh yeah, there
yeah,
was that little thing.
can't forget that. It wasn't just an argument. He
He
was, he
refused to
was a
marry her.
scumbag.
Okay. Oh, and yeah, that's right. The date rape drug. Right. In
Yeah, that's why I'm like,
1890.
oh.
What? Holy
Yeah, it said
shit.
he drugged her drink and then she fell
Well,
unconscious and he uh,
I mean,
yeah.
like, yeah, things have been able to render you pretty, I guess, unconscious and stuff long before we had prescription
Yeah.
drugs.
That's why I was like, "Oh,
Dang.
he deserved it." And then I was like, "Well, maybe he didn't deserve to die, but he deserved something." It's like,
Yeah, yeah. She got her revenge, I'd say.
yeah.
I don't know. Good for her, I guess. It's-
Yeah,
it's-
wonder what his wife back in Italy thought of all this. His wife and
oh,
kids,
oh, I forgot
right?
there was other kids. Oh, that sucks.
Yeah, like I have no idea.
This one's for all you out there who had shitty dads. Elon Musk's
Yeah.
kids, I'm looking at you. No,
Doesn't he have like 15 kids? I did not know he had that many kids.
oh yeah, it's over 10 at least. And I just read
I thought he
one of them is
honestly just
trans
had.
today. Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. I thought he literally just had a couple. And then I saw something that
With
was
like
like
each
Elon Musk.
woman.
And it was like Elon Musk welcomes 15th child and I was like, "Wait, hold on." I was like
Yeah, and the fucker, his like first girlfriend or whatever that he lost the first child with was Canadian. I just want to point out, not that I'm making. There's nothing, that's traumatic. Whatever happens, like
Yeah.
it was born and then it died very shortly, like early on from SIDS. But like,
Mm.
fuck you for coming after Canada. Is all I have to say, and for coming after your trans kid. Fuck you. Like,
Yeah, he
what a
just
piece
seems
of
like a
shit.
scumbag.
Yeah.
I get happy every time I saw something that said he had lost like $15 billion or something because of the
Oh.
Tesla stock, and I was like, "Oh, nice!" Like,
Yes. Well, Misha Collins from Supernatural, Castiel, yeah. He
yeah.
uh he had a thing on Instagram today where he was like had an accident with his Tesla and then he was like, "Am I gonna buy another Tesla?" And then he was like, "Nope." And then he was like driving this old like red, I don't know, pickup truck.
Ah,
I was like, good for you. It was cute.
yeah.
yes, everybody's doing their part.
Right?
Anyway,
Um,
that was great though. That was
Thank
really
you. I hadn't heard
interesting.
of this before. I thought it had some interesting aspects. I'm like,
Yeah,
damn.
love an old
Yeah.
timey case.
Yeah, I thought
They
it
can be
was
hard to
cool. I was
research,
like,
but
oh.
yeah, you found a lot of good info. Yeah,
Yeah, it was
um,
hard to research. A lot of stuff ended up being
yeah.
behind paywalls or you had to do
Ugh.
subscriptions too. So I'm sure there's more.
Newspapers.com. Yeah. No.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot more information out there, but I couldn't track it down. I tried.
Yeah.
But
Some of them, like with mine, I was like, oh, you can get a bunch of like news updates, but it's mostly like the legal side or whatever. And then you're like,
oh,
I want
yeah.
some context, like some background. And then I found another Canadian podcast that covered mine. So then I was like, okay, I know you guys do good research. Like you tend to know
Yeah.
like who you can trust for sources and stuff. So I guess we'll get to that one.
Yeah, sometimes this case is called like the Woman of Sing Sing or something like that.
Oh,
So,
woman of
yeah, she must have been a notable like inmate if like maybe one of the only women that were there because it seems to the prison um when you look up her thing, she's almost always
Hmm.
associated with that prison. So, yeah.
She was almost the second lady executed. Right?
Yeah, it said like
That's so funny.
she I don't think any woman had been executed at all yet. The one had been convicted and had been sentenced to be executed, but was
Hmm.
still awaiting it. And no. Here, what? Yeah, Martha M. Place was an American murderer and the first woman to die in the electric chair. She was executed on March 20th, 1899. So
1899.
three years after Maria's second trial. So they would have just been like on death row,
Hey,
kind of
bestie,
thing.
you on death row? Yeah, bitch. Oh, crazy.
Yeah.
All right. Well, for you guys, we'll be right back after these messages.
Yeah, a promo from a Dark Ass Network podcast of some theme and or name. We don't know.
But
To
whatever
be
it is, they're good.
TBD.
I know. Yeah, clearly you've put it in already. Oh.
There are over 200,000 unsolved homicides in the United States justice system right now. And many of those cases haven't seen the light of day in years, decades in some instances. The case files and evidence are sitting in a box on a dusty shelf in a basement, forgotten by law enforcement and the media, while the families and friends left behind wait for answers and fight for justice. Sometimes there is nobody left to remember or to speak up on behalf of the victim. I'm Arlene.
And I'm Leah. And that is exactly what Box in the Basement sets out to do: to shine a light on those forgotten victims and to bring attention to unsolved murders and disappearances. We want to help families tell their stories, and we want to assist the families and friends of victims find the resources and support they need to continue their fight for justice. Join us every Thursday for new episodes of Box in the Basement, wherever you find your podcasts.
Well, welcome back. It's part 2, and it's a little time has passed on our end.
Yeah.
If we sound a little different. Anyway. We wanted to mention we have our next Patreon coming out is going to be the topic we've picked is haunted battlefields. So
Yeah.
there was a reason we did that. I feel like we came to that through something, but I don't know what it was now. It sounded good. We love a haunted battlefield. I think I've
Yeah.
requested before, actually. So anyway, if that's true,
I think so.
yay. Yay us. Doing things that people like.
Finally getting around to it.
Yeah. And I'm sure there'll be some other stuff we'll be putting up there too. So come on over and we'll see you there. Yeah, we are going to talk about a sad case today, of course.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody outside of Canada knows it, and I don't know. It's one of those that maybe you don't know a lot about it because there's not a lot of information out there other than the actual sensational headlines and that kind of stuff. But
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't know which one you chose.
okay, I thought I might have mentioned it, but
No.
well, the name might not be well known, but it's the death of Tim McLean. So that's the case I will be covering. And hopefully I don't sniffle too much. Allergies, and it's sad. Uh-oh. No.
We'll vote on is Alana sniffing because she's crying or sniffing because of allergies?
Oh no. Timothy Richard McLean was born on October 3rd, 1985. He was born at the Victoria General Hospital in Winnipeg.
Winterpeg. I've never heard that.
Oh no, I thought that was fun Canadian lingo. Maybe I learned that from Pat. It is very cold.
Oh.
So
My mom always said Winnipeg, like winning a pig.
Winning a pig? Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Winning a pig. Winnipeg.
Well, yeah, it's bloody cold there. She's from there? Is that what
Yeah.
you said? Oh, cool.
Yeah.
But also, yeah, so cold. When it, like Manitoba and Saskatchewan kind of have that reputation because the prairies, the wind doesn't get blocked by anything, and it just gets so cold.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah. My dad's from Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
Oh, okay.
So he always said he was from Saskatchewan.
Oh, like the the guy in that
Saskatoon,
Adam
Saskatchewan,
Sandler movie, right?
Saskatchewan. Yeah, it's like Grown Ups. I think he says that. And my dad's like,
Right.
"Hey, I came up with that first." It's like,
yeah, maybe he heard it from one of his Canadian pals. We've got some good
Yeah, I don't
Canadian
know.
comedians. Anyway.
just sue Adam Sandler. No.
I like Adam Sandler. Okay.
I know. Happy Gilmore too. I haven't watched the trailer yet, but
Oh gosh, yeah.
I will
that'll be
watch the
fun.
movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, he lived in that cold region anyway, and he was of the Métis. What do you say? Indigenous group or whatever. He was a Métis man. And his family, he had some different nicknames. He was known as Tim Jr. to his family, Timmy to his friends, and specifically Joka Wild to his ICP friends, his juggalos, if you will. Yes, which I thought was cute. Oh, I got a lot of good information. Shout out to the Dark Poutine episode, because he had a lot of like background, which I find a lot of sources online just don't have any of this stuff. So I was like, yay! Thankfully, I found a good source that I trust, and he read a book, so I don't have to.
Okay, yeah. God,
So
I
it's
wish
like,
I had time to read books for some of these cases, but
oh,
it
right.
just
The dedication, I do appreciate it. So shout out to Mike Brown from Dark Poutine. Yeah, there was some good quotes he had too about, or I got somewhere anyway. His uncle Alex described him as a stubborn soul and a kind one, and that he made friends effortlessly, disliked no one, and accepted everyone for who they were.
that's nice.
Yeah, that's really nice thing to have said about you for sure. He had lots of friends and family in the Winnipeg and I guess Eli area. I think, I don't know if it's like nearby. Actually, I'm not familiar, but somewhere out there. He was, kind of the guy who had that lust for life, loved having fun, playing pranks, and going out on four-wheelers and but I think like dirt bikes, and someone said anything that got him dirty and into trouble.
Wow.
I was like, okay, I know the type.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. My dad's into some of that off-road and stuff. His uncle also said he was a charmer who loved to smile and you could never take a plate of food from him, which I thought was pretty awesome. He had a Marvin the Martian tattoo and one of an evil clown, which was, I guess, sort of Insane Clown Posse inspired, like their Great Malenko. I'm not super familiar, but
no.
apparently it's a very loving, nice, inclusive community, as he was talking about on the podcast. And I was like, well, that's nice. You don't have like,
Yeah.
you're called the Insane Clown Posse, but your fans aren't like all insane, like whatever. I was gonna say adrenaline junkies. That's not the word. Anarchists or whatever.
Yeah, I think it's like a band. I think it's just a band.
Yeah. They're just, I don't know, metal or whatever you want to fucking. Yeah. We're not into it, but they seem okay. I'm more of a Metallica head, so I don't know. But, so yeah, I think his love of travel, meeting people, and carnivals led to him working for the Western Canada exhibition circuit. So going with the little town to town carnival expos, all the rides, and working with the carnies as a whatever. And he had actually just worked the Edmonton Expo and was on the way back towards Winnipeg. On the bus, he was going to take the Greyhound back home. So he boarded bus 1170 and settled in for his trip. And he was probably just really looking forward to seeing his family and friends. I think I don't know if they go for a few weeks and then probably come back. I know one of the guys on the Neatcast does it sometimes, but like, yeah, it's obviously just a summer gig. So
yeah, it's really just the summer.
Seasonal. Yeah.
I know they used to have one that would come. I don't know where else they would stop at, but it would come to the Safeway in the. It wasn't even here. It was where I grew up in Spruce Grove. They would take over half of the Safeway parking lot for some reason, and then it was just
okay.
And they had a decent amount of rides, like not big ones, but they would have like the game stands, and they would have like smaller kid rides and like spinning strawberries, and then the
spinny ones,
like space, the one that like looks like a
The
spaceship and it just
Gravitron.
spins.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that
Ones
one.
like that where it's like kind of more stationary, it doesn't take up a lot of space. They had ones like that, and it was always the, ooh,
I like those.
can we go hang out at the Safeway parking lot?
That's so
Um,
weird that it's just like, yeah, they didn't call
yeah.
it like the whatever area, or in
No, and
Fredericton
I'm sure
it was the Frex or whatever, because it was the Fredericton Expo, so it just shortened it, right?
yeah, like I'm
Yeah.
sure they could have put it in a school's soccer field,
Yeah.
anywhere other than the Safeway parking lot on pavement. Like, I don't know why that was every year it was there.
Yeah.
It's not a big
Lack
space.
of
I don't know
space.
why.
Okay,
I don't know
yeah.
why they did it.
I guess
But
ours was
yeah,
kind
it
of
was
just in a random, like, I don't know, was it expo grounds? Sort of. And then there was just like a random Timmy's nearby. Always a random
yeah, see, that would
Timmy's.
make sense. This was
Yeah.
yeah, there was just stores all around it, then there's just a random carnival in the middle of a parking lot.
Oh
You're
my
like, cool.
gosh. Yeah, and I think what people say is it's a little scary because they have to do the rides, set them up and take them down so often that you're like always questioning how
Yeah,
safe they really are, which is a little scary to me now that I think about it as an adult.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because they're completely building and dismantling these things over and over again instead of just doing routine maintenance or something on it.
Yeah, it's a lot. um so oh yeah, so he's just like gonna put on his headphones, sit back and relax, and those bus rides take a hell of a long time. Many
Yeah. I
hours.
do remember now. You did tell me what case this is, so now I
Oh
know.
no.
Now I know
Okay.
what I'm in for, but I had forgotten until you mentioned the bus.
Well,
And then I was like,
yeah,
"Oh
if
shit,
people
she did tell me."
it was pretty
Mhm.
all over the news when it happened. So if you hear Greyhound bus in Canada, you might remember
Yeah.
where this is going, but it's
I've heard
obviously
it
true
covered quite a
crime,
few
so.
times. Yeah.
Oh, really? Okay. Oh, well,
Mhm.
let's just see what else I can.
Yeah. I'm excited. I always like when we get to cover one. It's like
it's one
a
of
rite of
those like,
passage.
yeah, it's kind of scary to cover ones that are, I don't know, bigger. I don't want to say that, but just like this one, people have a lot of opinions about. It's that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's rough. Yeah. Anyway, we'll just get to it. I'm sure this is annoying people. So later that day, which was July 30th, 2008, they were about 18 kilometers west of Portage la Prairie, and the quiet was sliced through with a scream. So big old trigger warning for all the details that we'll have to get
Yeah.
into. Like there was a man had been sitting at the front of the bus who had gotten on at the last pit stop, was now sat near Tim at the back of the bus. He was wearing shades, and the bus had about 35 passengers, just so you know. And earlier oh yeah, I guess I forgot to say, I thought it was weird. They were playing Zorro on the bus. Like
What?
they have those TVs that like hang down and you can like watch it if you want.
Oh.
Yeah, they used to do
Yeah.
it on planes too, but it's different now. But I was like, wow,
No,
that
now you
sounds
gotta
so
pay
like,
for Wi-Fi. They can't give you free
yeah, you do.
entertainment.
Yeah, this almost sounds so old school. Well, it is because
Yeah.
buses aren't super big anymore, as we'll see. So, yeah, there had been a smoke break. Everyone got back on, and then at about 8:30 p.m., the attack starts, and everyone hears a scream. So, unbeknownst to his fellow passengers, the voices in a man called Vince Lee's head had reached a crescendo and were telling him to kill the man next to him. So
Yeah.
he stands up. Yeah. It's like, oh God, you're just there. Nothing you can do. He stands up and stabs Tim in the neck over and over. The passengers nearby start screaming in terror, obviously, and the bus driver pulls over as quickly as possible so that everybody can get away off the bus as fast as they can. I mean, what do you do? Yeah, nothing. Because he's on a rampage. Anyone, like the bus driver, is trying to tell him and yell at him to stop, but he doesn't seem to hear anyone or anything around him.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's like, oh fuck. As the attack continues, the other passenger and driver are frozen in horror, unable to intervene. There's one point where some people did attempt to get back on the bus and speak to Lee, which I think I might have a little bit more details on later, but he's not making any sense, basically speaking gibberish as he continues to, attack and now dismember what is Tim McLean's body.
Yeah.
It's fucking horrible. That is when he decapitates Tim's body and walks to the front of the bus to hold the head up, further traumatizing everyone around.
Yeah, I can't imagine.
It's like, what?
I would be just trying to get as far away from the bus as possible. Like,
yeah, like you're in a literal horror movie at that point.
Yeah.
That's like, where's Mike Myers? Because you're like, this is someone has dropped, the crazy bus or whatever. The mental patient has escaped, and he was on the bus the whole time. Like, it's just so scary. But they hadn't been doing nothing. The emergency service had been called during this time, and the driver had disabled the bus from the outside, and RCMP did arrive. However, the attack was not able to be stopped because he's still got the knife, and like,
Yeah.
it's the RCMP. They're not the SWAT team. Like, I don't think they have the, what am I trying to say? Armor and the equipment necessary to deal with this.
I think they
situation.
might be more now, but definitely not, I think, in 2008.
Yeah, I would hope, there would be maybe a better response, but certainly there's more prevention policies, I guess, with the way, they search your bags before you go into a lot of places and stuff like that. But oh my God,
Yeah.
it's just...
But it sounds like with
Yeah.
the bus driver disabling the bus and getting everybody off and them calling
Yeah.
people right away and stuff, it sounds like seems like they did everything that they could, like, to contain the situation, right?
Yeah, I think a lot of people acted like really admirably. And
Yeah.
even though I know there's other stories where like a few people are able to take down someone who's attacking on a bus. I feel like there was one in Europe or something where there were 3 guys got the assailant down. But like, if he's in such a state, you don't know that you're not just gonna
Yeah.
also get killed necessarily.
Yeah, it can sometimes lead to more injuries and like escalate the situation.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, at this point maybe you don't know if he's got more weapons or what.
Yeah.
So okay, yeah, so there was a quote that described it as such. They arrived to find the suspect still on the bus, being prevented by escaping by another passenger, the bus driver, and a truck driver who had provided a crowbar and a hammer as weapons. The other passengers were huddled at the roadside, some of them crying and vomiting.
Yeah.
Right? Sorry, it's like, yeah, holy fuck. Sorry, that's so scary. My nervous laughter comes out. Because the suspect had tried to drive the bus away, the driver had engaged the emergency immobilizer, rendering the vehicle inoperable. I don't think I had known that he had tried to take the bus or drive the bus.
I can't remember. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like pretty scary. I'm glad they were able to use the immobilizer, which sounds cool.
Yeah, because that's a big vehicle. That's a big vehicle for somebody to drive around with. You don't know what they're gonna do. They could ram into things.
Right? What other, like, my car doesn't have something that you could, well, I mean, you could go in the hood and, I don't know, cut something, I'm sure, and disable it that way. But yeah, it's cool that they had that feature. By 9 p.m., police were in a standoff with the suspect and had summoned special negotiators and a heavily armed tactical unit. The suspect alternately paced the length of the bus and defiled the corpse. Police then saw Lee eating parts of the body. During this time, RCMP officers reportedly heard Lee say, "I have to stay on the bus forever." Yeah. Then it said Garnet Caton, a witness, said the attacker seemed unaware of others when the stabbing occurred, adding he was struck by Lee's calm demeanor. There was no rage or anything. He was like a robot stabbing the guy, he said.
Yeah.
Fucking crazy. So yeah, over 4 hours it took them before they could. Yeah, they couldn't really do anything. It was just at around 1:20 a.m. he himself broke a window off the bus and threw some of his stuff outside, including the knife and a pair of scissors. And then he jumped out the window to landing on his belongings. And then officers attempted to handcuff him, but he continued resisting hard enough that he had to be tased twice before they could cuff him.
Damn. Sounds like some stuff when my brother, he used to do security for like concerts, and then sometimes he would do like music festivals.
Oh wow.
And he told me like quite a few times about people, like my brother's 6'3" and like 200 pounds. So he would tell us quite often about like times where it would take 3 people his size to take out a person that was my size because of the amount of drugs that they were on. Like, it's crazy how much like they don't feel pain, they'll just keep going, they're unaware of the situation, and you just my brother's like, I watched people run full tilt through walls, multiple walls, before they stopped.
Like some kind of adrenaline strength that's just psychotic, which I hate to use that word, but you know what I mean. Ugh, that's crazy. I'd be intimidated. Brother's got the big beard. Like, beardy's coming at me.
Well, he didn't have it at this time, but I mean, he's a big dude, and he'd call backup. He would call the guys that were a bit bigger than him and be like, "Hey, like, we need to go get this person," because they are not stopping. Like,
I don't know what I would do. Okay, almost through the most horrific of the details, but there is this fun fact that in his pocket they found a plastic bag with parts of Tim's face in it, his ears, nose, and tongue. So he was taken into custody and sent for a psych evaluation. Thank God. So at this point, he would be charged with second-degree murder, and his court date was set for August 5th, 2008. That's my mom's birthday. I just have to alleviate the horror. No, so he's sent for a psych eval. All this is going on. And I'll get to his background here, but apparently he only said 3 words in the court appearance once it commenced, and that was, "Please kill me."
Damn.
I know. Isn't that so heartbreaking, all of it? Ugh. So, Vincent Lee was born 1 month premature in Dandong City, China on April 30th, 1968, which made him 40 at the time of the attack in 2008. He had some Yeah, just so you know. But he had some health issues due to his early birth, which like a whole month early. Yeah, like Rain was a couple weeks early, and she had to spend a few extra days in the NIC unit or whatever. It's like the ICU for the babies. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, it can make a pretty big deal to their health sometimes. So he had some lung issues and some other undisclosed medical issues from his early birth that made him rather fragile, compared to other kids his age, I guess. And his mom was a math teacher and his dad was a custodian. And he went to actually the University of Wuhan. Ever heard of her?
Oh no.
These days we have.
Yeah.
So yeah, he did end up going to the University of Wuhan Institute of Technology. So pretty smart because he obtained an engineering
Yeah.
degree in applied electronics and computer engineering in 1992. So it's like, wow. Okay.
Very smart.
Yeah. He blah, blah, blah. I guess this is the next thing I have was when he moved to Manitoba. But I worded it really weird. I said he moved to Manitoba after getting a job and a girlfriend, which he married. Which I don't know what. When I started that sentence, I just committed so hard to the way I had worded it. I was like, whatever. So suffice it to say, he ends up in Manitoba, and then, as happens to a lot of smart people that come from places that don't speak English, he ends up working at a McDonald's because he's got poor English and he can't just immediately transfer his skills.
Yeah.
So that kind of sucks. He tries to kind of get back onto his chosen career path. He's like taking a computer programming degree here in Canada, and so that was good. But then his mental health did start to have some decline, where he had this hyper fixation on the sun, obsessing over looking at the sun and putting belief in the power of it being able to tell him like what to do. He would go outside and look up at it, and I think Fenrir got into something.
Oh. Yeah, that sounds different. That's a
Yeah. I like to do a little sun salutation when I get up. Good way to stretch. But he's going out and looking at the sun and then letting it give him directions for the day, which is kind of weird. So that's a little troubling, and he's begins to hear voices in his head, either from the sun or whatever, he doesn't know. And sometimes they call him things like Chinese Jesus, and he's getting all these weird unfortunate mental health issues like he's dealing with. There was one thing that said for a while he lived in his car after again failing to find a job. His ex-wife was helping him out, sending him money, and was living with him again in July 2007, which is the month I had my daughter. So their relationship was like up and down. It was improving at that time.
Yeah.
He had worked as a janitor, a mechanic, a cashier at Walmart, just all these different things. But he was described by his bosses as like reliable and hardworking and not showing any signs of trouble, whatever that may mean,
Yeah.
It said ex-wife said he appeared happy for the first time since his hallucinations began. So yeah, I think they split up at some point. Next thing we know, in September of 2005, he had an incident where the voices told him to get on a bus to visit a friend in Toronto. So he did. He got a ticket and he went there. But once there, he either visited the friend, I'm not sure, but then became disoriented and confused and eventually started wandering along the highway as if making his way back home. Yeah. So that's troubling. And that got him picked up by the authorities and kept in a place called Etobicoke overnight. So there he was seen by a doctor and diagnosed as schizophrenic. So
I think that's what I remember hearing before. He was schizophrenic.
Yeah, they had diagnosed him at this time, and so that was good. And they had held him, I believe, for about 10 days, monitoring his mental state and like adjusting and prescribing him some drugs to help him. He was advised to stay longer, the sources all said, but like he left against the medical advice and without medication. So I don't know why or how that can happen, but wasn't good. He apparently got some help from his wife. I guess maybe she bought him a ticket home, but he made it home. Oh, and I think it was said shortly after that, that's when they broke up again or whatever. And then then he moved to Edmonton on his own, which just is like every which way he's being failed by the support systems he has, I think.
Yeah, I feel like you need to surround yourself with people.
And like it sucks that their relationship wasn't in a good place and they were breaking up and stuff, but she's like his only family here, I think, at the time. It's just, it's all, hindsight's 2020. Obviously we can see now it's what happened was horrible, but it's like, oh my gosh, it just sucks to hear how it all played out. So obviously you can see how this is snowballing. Now the voices are telling him to carry a knife for his own protection and to start traveling again. Yay.
Yeah.
He had some job which was delivering newspapers, and he had done that the morning of July 28th. And then he had bought a ticket under an alias, a name Wong Pent, and he had written something to his wife that said, "I am gone. Don't look for me. I wish you were happy." So he made his way through Alberta, then Saskatchewan. He's on the bus into Manitoba. He gets off early at Erickson, Manitoba. Like if he had stayed on that bus that full night, he would have gone on the way to Winnipeg, but he got off a night, spent the night there. Just really erratic behavior. Like he sold his brand new laptop for $60 to a random teen on the street that day. And then boarded the bus back to Winnipeg, which was the 6:55 p.m. bus. And that was, obviously the bus where he came into contact with his victim, Tim McLean.
Yeah.
So that's horrible. I put a fun fact in about the name of the town, Portage-la-Prairie, because it was just all so depressing. My poor notes are a cry for help.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Whatever. It's not. It's not that fun. I don't know. Well, it's the place sits on the Assiniboine River, which would also like flood, I guess, the town persistently. It said until a diversion channel was built north to Lake Manitoba, which they called the Portage Diversion, and it was built to divert the floodwaters. And I was like, okay, that's kind of cool, because like there was so much flooding in the Red River Valley at one point that what did it say? There was a flood of spring 2011. The Portage Diversion handled roughly half the flow of Niagara Falls.
Holy! Okay, that's a lot.
Right? That was the fun of the fact. But yeah, Portage-la-Prairie is basically the town they were just outside of when this all happened. So what do I have? Okay, so that's still during
Yeah.
the attack. Sorry.
Because I remember when this happened, it was just when I had started like growing up in Spruce Grove and then coming here for doctor's appointments. My mom and I would take Greyhound bus from Spruce to Edmonton every couple weeks for my doctor's appointments. And then when this happened,
really?
it was a few months later that the city of Spruce Grove like acquired their own buses, and then they started having, it would only have a few stops in Spruce Grove, but then it would drive into Edmonton. So I don't know if that like coincided with this at all, because it happened very quickly after, because people did not want to go on Greyhound buses at all.
No, they really didn't. I'm surprised, that it wasn't handled by a more municipal type bus at that time, but the transportation system here is pretty shit, so that actually doesn't surprise me all that much.
Now with like Spruce Grove getting so much bigger, they have like a long bus route, and it's really good for commuters and everything. But yeah, right before this happening, it was maybe about a year, because I mean I started going to the doctors in 2007, so it was maybe about a year that we were having to take the Greyhound like into Edmonton. So
yeah, this really didn't help anything with their company's ultimate, spoiler alert, demise. Like, but I mean, that's travels like that a lot of times too, right? Like,
it comes in cycles.
Yeah, and then I feel like you have to find a better, faster way to travel, or flights open up or something, then you're not going to like keep driving or taking the bus or the train. Like, the train's really fucking expensive. Anyway. Yeah, that's interesting though. Yeah, we would have just moved out here in 2008. So,
oh no.
Yeah. I had a very small child, so yeah, I was probably a little preoccupied, but it's one of those things I definitely remember it hitting the news cycle, and I'm sure it made it out of Canada too, because like that's something you just don't hear about every day. Like, especially here. I don't know, not that that's here or there. Like, we obviously have a little bit less gun violence, but we're not fucking perfect. Like, we have a lot of crazy crap that goes on here, just like America does. We're very similar to them in like crime and stuff like that, I think.
Yeah, I feel like maybe it just wasn't before this, and maybe some other cases. I mean, like 2008, it was still kind of harder to hear about stuff that wasn't necessarily just happening in like your local area. So
yeah, people weren't
like
as many listening to podcasts and stuff either.
Yeah, and like Facebook, and I don't even think we had Instagram then. YouTube was fairly new. Yeah. God, what did we do with our spare time? Have lives and hang out with friends without documenting it? Did it even happen?
Have more meaningful relationships and conversations. Oh no. Or something. Yeah, I don't. Maybe we did. Yeah. But I don't
know. Yeah, so I can see how it might have spread, because like this was just like you said at the beginning, it was very, very like sensationalized. Like, can you imagine the quick snappy headlines that were produced and everything to just
and
I don't know, like encapsulate such a tragic case? Like,
yeah, it's really controversial in the way that people would obviously go to, well, what's the right way to deal with that, and what should we do better next time, or anyway, it's obviously rough when we get into the aftermath also, especially with the victim's family, his mother. So, but I did found it pretty interesting. And I don't know if I remember like what happened, so we'll get into it here, but sorry, some of this is kind of repeating.
I don't know much about what happened after, but I do remember some of the details of like what happened, but
so basically yeah, they're taken into custody, and put on medication. Reconnected. Start with me.
Oh,
It's
it was fine on my end. I don't know what I
okay.
did.
I don't know. Yeah, I just looked at it and said reconnected. I was like, fuck. So they get him on some meds and stabilized, we'll say, and then get his lawyer where he's able to claim that he was acting in what he believed was self-defense because of what was going on in his head. He was being told a lot of things, like that he was stopping Tim from resurrecting and harming others, he actually believed, and stuff like that. So yeah, they like it's basically his defense. Like there's a lot of stuff you'll see in some of the articles where like he thought aliens were talking to him. I don't know, like the details I guess don't really matter, but like he was in complete
I think
psychosis.
I remember the thing about aliens for some reason.
Like, people just
but
like to repeat
whatever
that stuff.
Whatever it is, like if you're schizophrenic, I can't imagine like how much that impacts your life, and if you're not on medication or have a support system and you're on your own and traveling, so like nothing's ever familiar, you have no stability, you have no routine.
Now he's been believing he has to carry a knife and all this other stuff. It's all like a perfect storm of symptoms of mental illness and being let to run loose almost. It just sucks. Like he's just the wrong place, the wrong time. He's just literally there. It's like, holy fuck.
Yeah.
And that's why
probably would have happened to anybody that was near him. It just happened to be Tim, right?
And he was just like listening to his headphones, like any of us nowadays, where we're just like,
Yeah.
Vulnerable,
just like, sitting there,
sitting or trying to like sleep or whatever. I hope it was really, really quick. I really do. Like,
yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of why I feel like I should tell the story and try and tell it as respectfully as fucking possible, obviously.
Because this one's a really hard one. People, as long as I've known it, people are it is pretty controversial one to try and get into, so kudos for doing it.
It's thanks. It's like fuck, I'm like, oh god, be careful here. But like, it's important because I didn't even really know the victim's name, like Tim's name, so it's like fuck. So what ultimately happened was the judge found him not criminally responsible, which is a sentencing or whatever, I guess, that you can have due to your mental state. Yeah. So then he was taken to a psychiatric facility, which I think is obviously right. And
absolutely.
Like, I think obviously, well, maybe it's not obvious, but I don't think prison, even with meds, would have been the necessarily help he needed to become reintegrated or safe for society. So, but I'm sure people might have other opinions and stuff like that, but we don't have the death penalty here, and we don't really, I think we believe more in trying to reform people rather than just punish them. But it's obviously tough. And his family obviously has a tough relationship with how he's been treated there, and then allowed more freedoms as time goes on, much like prisoners might be. Because now he's medicated, and if we'll see from the interview I have there that I don't know, I think he sounds more stable, obviously. I don't know. So, like, by 2015, he was released into a group home. And then basically in 2017, it said he was fully released. He's still on medication, but not like monitored to the degree or whatever to take.
Yeah.
So, just like most people with mental illness would be.
Yeah.
But there's been many tributes set up on the highway itself as well as online for Tim. And his mother, I know, was fighting to have this law enacted, Tim's Law, that would make sure that no one who killed another person during a mental, break or whatever, that they should never be set free, which I don't know. I don't think it got enacted, and I don't know that I agree with that.
I don't agree with that.
Right.
Like, I'm sorry.
I'm so
but
sorry for her. Yeah. But it's like, yeah, I don't know. They had a little talk about it on Dark Putin too, where the guy was like, no, I think I obviously feel, like, his co-host was like, I obviously feel for the family, but I think he's been, done his due diligence and, is being treated now. And that, like, he's like, maybe I wouldn't want to sit by him on a Greyhound bus, but, like, I still am okay with whatever.
Like, as long as he continues to be like I'm sure they have check-ins. I'm sure they have a certain amount of stuff. They didn't just drop him off and be like, here's $100, go live the rest of your life, we're never gonna follow up with you again, bye.
No, and he's had been being monitored and under supervision for a long time as well, so they obviously have an idea what his mental state was and stuff. So
yeah, like, I feel so bad, but
yeah,
it can't always just be punishment for punishment's sake, like,
I think so. I think that's a really good way to put it. Yeah.
like,
so two of the witnesses actually that were there that day, and oh my god, I feel terrible for all these people that were traumatized and hope they got therapy and stuff, but two of them actually did try and sue Greyhound, the federal government, and the RCMP for damages from the trauma, or are still trying to sue. I don't know that it's come to a conclusion. And
but, like,
I do.
why?
Yeah. I know. I'm like, how can you really say that they could have anticipated that? Because, like,
yeah,
there's just been no history of, like, attacks like that where we,
like, maybe because he was allowed to come on with some sort of knife, but
it was
like,
hidden.
I'm
It was
sorry.
concealed. Yeah, they don't check people.
I'm sorry.
They don't go through a metal detector. Yeah.
You are in a public space, and I think with all the mass shootings and everything that have been happening, especially here in North America, in Canada, and the US, especially,
that's true.
Anytime you are in a public space, there is always a chance
risk.
that something that could happen, and that's just something that you need to come to terms with, the fact that you are entering public spaces.
I feel like, even though we should definitely fight to hopefully change that, especially in the States, they gotta really get their laws under control there. But I can't
until that happens,
all of
you
us,
have to you have to understand, if you're in a public space, even you're in a store shopping, something can happen. You're
at the theater,
you're at a concert,
happened.
you're at a movie theater, something can happen. You're walking down the street, something can happen. Like,
it's very true.
Yeah.
Yeah, but one of them is literally suing for $3 million. I read. I was like, okay. So,
like, I get that this was, like, especially bad, but people that witness all sorts of crimes aren't suing everybody all the time. Like,
we're not generally that sue happy here. That's not how we get changes done to our, like, laws in Canada, if I'm not mistaken. But anyway, I do know they kept the bus in use until Greyhound's eventual collapse in 2021, which also pissed off his mother a lot. So that's,
I don't agree with that.
it's kind of morbid, but I know they do the similar things for like planes if there's usable parts, if it's been involved in like a crash. Like I want to cover there's basically one where a plane is involved in a crash and then they use pieces of it in other planes, and then those pieces are like haunted because they start seeing like ghosts from the first plane. It's really cool, but it's
creepy.
creepy, right? Yeah, I want to cover that at some point. We have to do haunted or planes or something.
Haunted planes, trains, and automobiles.
Yes, that's on my list. I think maybe I'm pushing that one lately, but yes, we got to do that eventually. So
yeah, like I don't think they should have kept the same bus going, but
no.
yeah, usable parts I think would have been okay.
I mean, I think the whole thing was probably usable other than the window, but and then again, it's kind of
I don't
gross.
know. Those seats were fabric. The seats were not yeah.
That's true. Oh god. Okay, so I do have this. Will hopefully it made me feel a little better to hear it when I was listening to the Dark Poutine podcast. He included some. So they interviewed, someone was able to get an interview with Vince Lee, who goes by a new name now, but everybody knows it, so it doesn't really help. Anyway.
Oh.
Yeah. So it's okay, so this is after, this is obviously way after. So it's like after his release, maybe. So the interviewer says, "When did you begin to experience schizophrenia?" He says, "In 2004, I didn't know what it was. I now know what it is. I began to hear voices that normal people do not hear. I thought I heard the voice of God telling me to write down my journey. The voice told me that I was the third story of the Bible, that I was like the second coming of Jesus. I was to save people from a space alien attack." Oh, that's what it was. "That is why I traveled around the country, and I'm not sure of all the places I went to. I now know that it was schizophrenia I was suffering from."
Yeah.
"Why did you do what you did on the bus?" "I bought a knife at Canadian Tire." Not a sponsor.
Oh no.
Just kidding. "I bought it from any emergency for the journey to protect myself from the aliens. I was really scared. I remember cutting off his head. I believed he was an alien. The voices told me to kill him, that he would kill me or others. I do not believe this now. It was totally wrong. It was my fault. I sinned, but it was the schizophrenia." "What else do you remember about the incident?" "I try to forget it. I try to stay busy here. It is painful to think about." Yeah. "How do you feel about what happened?" "I am embarrassed. It was wrong." "Do you understand why people are scared of you?" "Yes, I don't think I will ever do it again. I didn't know at the time I had schizophrenia. Now I do." Which I was like, yes, he was in the middle of an episode, but he was diagnosed at one point before that. I think this is just a little bit, a couple more questions. "What would you say to Miss..." Wait, who's Mr. Deli? Did I miss someone? I don't know who they're referring to when they say, it said, "What would you say to Mr. Deli and Tim McLean's family?" But then I was like, who's Mr. Deli? I must have missed something in one of the other previous quotes because he was the only victim that I know of. Sorry, that's bad research on my part. But he did say, "I'm really sorry for what I did. If I could talk to her directly, I would do anything for their family. I would ask forgiveness, but I know it would be hard to accept." Oh, maybe that's just his mom's last name. Yeah, I probably said that. Never. "How has the time been at Selkirk Mental Health Center? I know that I suffer from schizophrenia. The treatment team gives me a chance to recover, to be normal. I am glad to be taking the medication." "Do you think you are getting better?" "Yes, my thinking is becoming normal. I don't think weird things. I take my medication, olanzapine, every day. I am glad to take it. I don't have any weird voices anymore." "How do we know you will take your medication when you get out on your own?" "I would be glad to be under a treatment order because medication helps me. It is very important. I don't want to do what I did ever again."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's the important thing. Is seems to have realized that what he did was wrong, and he is grateful to be on the medication.
Yeah, to me,
So
he sounds, I don't know, there's no like normal or whatever, but I do think he sounds completely aware of the implications and the right, and like the wrongness and everything.
yeah.
But it's still very sad. Like, it's so sad for him that the final question they had asked him was, some say the RCMP should have killed you that night, and he said, I should have been killed at that time. I still believe that, but I'm thankful that the RCMP didn't. Which I'm just like, oh, it must be
Yeah.
rough to live with that. I actually heard a story on Sinisterhood recently where someone wrote in to say that they were an accidental killer, like basically that was vehicular. I think someone, a house
Oh,
person was somehow killed, and they said they, you know, it was a complete accident. Basically, there was no alcohol involved or anything like that, but
yeah.
they went to a support group basically because they were responsible for taking someone else's life, which has to be a heavy thing to deal with and live with.
Yeah, I can't
Yeah.
imagine
Oh
that.
no. So
Yeah.
that's the case. If you guys didn't know it, I'm sorry. If you did, I'm also sorry, because it's so hard.
Yeah.
I do feel
I
really,
feel like
really
it's
shitty. Yeah.
yeah, I feel like it's so hard. Well, it's easy to be like, "Oh yeah, he should have been in prison forever." And it's so easy to be like, "Oh, well, he was mentally ill, so shouldn't be in prison at all." And but I think
Hmm.
the middle ground of like
Like, he should have been
is
institutionalized with medication, yes, for quite some time, and I'm glad they
yeah.
did that. But yeah, in some
Yeah.
ways, I thought, oh, it's going to be like it's kind of a straightforward case. It's not like they have a background together. It's not like an abusive,
Yeah.
relationship that just goes snap. But then it's like it's all the aftermath that is really what gets so complicated, because you're like, oh gosh, well, there is no simple answer to this kind of thing.
Yeah.
So,
I feel so bad for the family, but I think they
mhm.
at least have to try and take solace in the fact that obviously Tim did nothing to warrant the attack, and
There was
it
nothing he
was
could have
like
done.
super
Yeah.
yeah, it was super tragic. Um but at the end of the day it had nothing to do with him specifically,
Hmm.
right? It was he wasn't necessarily targeted because of who he was or anything like that. It was
Yeah.
just whatever the voices were telling him to do, just attack somebody, and it just
Hmm.
happened to be Tim, I guess.
I
Maybe
know. I
because of where
can't.
he was sitting at the back of the bus or whatever you want to try and say, but
Yeah. Could have been
yeah.
anyone. And I'm sure, like, I can't blame his mom for needing someone to blame, on something to focus her
Yeah.
like anger and bitterness against, because I'm sure I would need something to do that as well, because no parent should have to go through that ever.
I would focus my time and energy on mental health like stuff, and because like he was diagnosed schizophrenic before, if anybody had ever tried contacting, following up with him, anything like that, it could have been prevented that way. So I feel like
That's true. That's a very
that's what you
positive
want
thing you
to
could
do.
do. Yeah, you could channel your energy
Yeah.
into a positive
Be like, my son
impact like
was
that.
killed by somebody mentally ill. Like, we knew that this person, or society, or some people knew that this person had
Yeah.
mental illness, but because there wasn't the like policies or procedures and stuff in place that we may have now,
Hmm.
and
I'd
stuff,
like to
I'm
think
sure
I would do
too.
something like that too, but then I'm just like, ugh, you killed my daughter. Like, even if I knew that you were not criminally responsible or whatever. I can't say I wouldn't want to tear them apart with my bare hands. Like, I just don't know.
Yeah.
Like, I've just never been in that. I'm not saying you're judging.
Yeah.
I'm just saying we can't really say what we do in that situation. Yeah. It's horrible, though. That's a good idea, though. That's a
Right?
positive way people
Like,
could have an impact. Yeah.
yeah.
I used to think I could handle working in the mental health field, like being a psychiatrist or a social worker or something, but no, I don't think I have the mental fortitude.
No,
I hear it's rough.
Yeah.
Shout out to the social workers out there and all the people that work in all those mental health facilities and departments. Like, oh my God, doing the Lord's work out there.
Yeah. Or people that know people struggling with mental health, just try and be supportive of them. And
there's a lot of mental health struggles that are so stigmatized, like like addictions and stuff, which are not a personal problem, they're a societal problem, and we have to recognize shit like that. Sorry,
and
preach.
being supportive doesn't mean you have to enable them or give them money or any of that kind of stuff. It can be somebody for them to talk to, somebody to give them words of encouragement, or
it's tough.
Make sure they're keeping themselves safe or others are safe, like all that kind of stuff.
Cutting them off. Anyway, that's a whole nother kettle
unfortunately
of fish.
Sometimes that's what that means too.
Yeah, because sometimes people have to hit rock bottom. Oh.
Yeah.
Anyway, I hope everyone's getting their mental health issues addressed and self-care and doing all the things. What are you gonna do are you guys having some fun? You guys were having something fun today. Was it for your mom's birthday today? That'll be good.
Yeah, I was like, my mom's texting and calling me, leaving me voicemails. Like, Jesus.
Oh shit. What is it? All good. No worries. We're wrapping up. And I don't know, I'm going to do something. It's beautiful out. I've been spring cleaning and watching something called The Decameron on Netflix, which has a Monty Python and the Holy Grail sort of vibe. It's pretty funny. So I might watch some more of that. And yeah, I don't know. I think that was all we wanted to talk about. Patreon plug. You took me out for my birthday. It was fun.
Yeah.
I had a good weekend. Hopefully this is going to be a good weekend too. It's been a long week. We hope you're all having a great first bit of spring. And we're going to do something spring sort of themed, cryptic-y cryptids next week as well. So stay tuned for some cryptid little guys of some sort.
Yeah.
So that should be fun. And follow us on Instagram and all of the things, and then I'll post more.
Yeah.
And I swear I will, and I'll get back into our TikTok eventually. I have things on my list.
Yeah.
Anyway, until next time, keep it cryptic.
Yeah, thanks for listening. Bye.
Take care of each other. Thank you for listening to Castles and Cryptids. We love all our listeners and appreciate every subscriber, every new review, every listen, rate, and download. Our music is by Kobe Off Air, and our cover art is by Antonio Garcia. We are also a proud member of Darkcast Network, where you can find the best and spookiest of all indie podcasts. Follow us on social media, where we are at Castles and Cryptids on mostly all of the things, now including TikTok. Check out our bonus content on Patreon, cryptid clashes, video minisodes of your hosts making asses of themselves, Ask Me Anything, quizzes, other special episodes, and more. Starting at just $2 a month, you can get 1 to 2 extra episodes, depending on your level. We produce, edit, and research everything ourselves, and any support you can lend helps us to keep it cryptic.